There is a situation going on with the Minnesota Vikings, a little bit of an elephant in the room, and nobody's talking about it. So let's be the first. Welcome to the Locked On Vikings podcast.
You are Locked On Vikings, your daily Minnesota Vikings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Vikings podcast, where we're always trying to learn something new. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thank you so much for making Locked On Vikings your first listen of the day every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We're going to start off in a little bit of a different place today. Fear not, if you don't care about this particular thing, or if you want to just get through it, there will be an Everyman series that will comprise most of the show. But first, we got to talk. If you are totally unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, you might just not be following the right guy on Instagram. And if you are familiar with what I've been talking about, you might be wondering why nobody has been talking about it. So here is the broad strokes. Derik, Keyes, former assistant strength coach for the Vikings, has been levying some pretty intense allegations against the organization. So what we're going to do today is talk about what those are, what it could be, maybe even a little bit why nobody would be talking about it. Unfortunately, there is no official reporting on any of this. There is no credentialed reporting on any of this. And for a reason I think you can pretty easily understand, there's legal stuff going on. If you are going to be the kind of person that wants to do a report on this, you're definitely going to want to take your time. But what I can do at least right now, because I'm not a journalist or reporter, I'm not doing an investigative reporting here, I can summarize what has been made public, what accusations are there, and we can all try our best not to be super speculative. But if you missed it, I don't blame you. This would not have been on my radar at all. I don't even have an Instagram account. Were it not for Sam Ekstrom bringing this to a pre-show thing for the Minnesota Football Party, which is also going to be out now, probably, or it maybe even is live now as you're listening to this, where we will talk about it there as well. And I figured, okay, I'll do my research and I'll kind of get out ahead of it, and we'll try to explain the situation on Locked On Vikings and then move on from there. But here's the situation. So Derik Keyes was let go, mutually parted ways with the organization. And the verbiage there is actually under dispute. But for whatever reason, Derik Keyes is no longer with the organization as of this last offseason. He is accusing the Vikings of a number of things. Much of this stems from their handling of him as a person with complex PTSD. He's shared quite a bit about his complex PTSD diagnosis, some like good books to read and stuff like that. And by the way, everything I'm telling you right now is available on his Instagram account. You can go read it for yourself. They're his words straight from the horse's mouth. As it goes, he apparently was offered a promotion. He said, cool, but I want to get my own staff. He apparently had reasons not to trust this person or that person, and he wants a staff that he can trust. Apparently that didn't get granted, and he said no thanks. And from there, this is where we get into dispute. He posted an email sent out to Vikings staff that claims that both parties decided it was mutually beneficial to part ways. He says before he knew it, they were interviewing more people for his job and they were talking about his release paperwork. So he essentially says, no, you fired me. This is the first divergence. That is, to Vikings fans, entirely uninteresting in and of itself. We don't need to care about that. That's their business. That's not our business, right? As Vikings fans, that part's not really any of our business. It's not really the kind of thing that we need to talk about on a Vikings fans podcast. But it continues that members of Vikings staff, plural, were getting text messages from Derik Keyes that they felt threatened by. This apparently got so intense that the police were involved. He actually posted a voicemail that was left to him by a police sergeant in Eagan, Minnesota, saying, "Hey, you're sending these threatening text messages. We want to check in on you, make sure everything's okay." And he is calling the whole thing a smear campaign. He's saying, "You didn't like me, and now you're trying to, smear my name." Central to this is not only the complex PTSD diagnosis. There have, it sounds like, been some, I'll go with the word, incidents around the facility. I don't know if they were physical altercations or verbal altercations, but something that maybe he feels has given him the reputation. And he will bring up the angry black man thing, saying, you just think I'm the angry black man, which is, many such cases, right? So, nothing too outlandish yet. He also is an avid shooting enthusiast. He has a lot of stuff on his Instagram of him at like a shooting range, skeet shooting and stuff. I feel it's very important to point out that this is like a recreational hobbyist. They've got the proper safety gear. It looks like everybody's being, holding the guns properly. People know what they're doing here. It's a very different thing from like the weird kid at school posted a picture of with a gun on his backpack and said, "Don't come to school." I say that because I worry a little bit that a careless write-up on this could say, "Oh, there were pictures of him with a gun on Instagram," and like not clarify further. There are pictures of him like skeet shooting and like showing off his like shooting form. Not a very, very different thing. You might as well see a picture of him in blaze orange with a buck in the back in the trunk. I mean, that's much more what we're talking about here. But the accusation for all of this, like if we want to, like, okay, what are the Vikings being accused of? The accusation is that the gun enthusiasm mixed with the angry black man thing, mixed with the understanding that he does have a genuine, PTSD diagnosis, and some unknown threatening texts that people took the wrong way, and they were worried that he was going to do something violent. He essentially says, "That's what you thought I was going to do. That's ridiculous. Please clear my name." And has now started to name high-ranking members of the Vikings. Says, "Brian Flores, tell them how you were trying to crush me behind the scenes, telling the organization you didn't feel safe. Kwesi is calling me, asking if I was going to go to my car and get a gun and shoot you. I had a lot of respect for you before that. For you to be acting like a tough guy, that made me very disappointing." He calls out Kwesi. He calls out Laura Juris. He calls out Andrew Miller, who are two other executives in Minnesota, and tell them that you didn't do anything about a domestic violence incident that was reported to you by team security. I don't know if this is the same incident, but tell them how you were getting the nutritionist beat up by her husband for having an affair, and she came to work with a black eye. That letter's not going to cut it. You need to clear my name. So all other sorts of other I have no idea what's going on with those situations, by the way. That's literally all I've ever seen about it was that. So don't take that and run with it yet. That's the tip of some kind of iceberg. And here's where I think I just need to talk to you. Okay, that's the basic summary that I understand. Two things here. One, I hope that if and when there is some kind of actual, professional reporting on this, that it's very careful to step around the wrong conclusions, that it's not sensationalized or anything like that, which is something I think a couple years ago I wouldn't have felt I had to say, but I absolutely do feel I have to say that now. Let's hope. And if it is super sensationalized, brace yourself for that and try not to get too sucked up in it. But I also feel a need to say that there is so much that is just not known. The veracity of any of this, I mean, this is only coming from one particular source, which even if that source wasn't like a source on a side of the conflict, you would still not want to do things from one source. So please, 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 please don't run with this, okay? Please don't aggregate me, all right? I swear to God, don't be better than that, okay? Try to be a person with at least half of a brain about it. There's a lot we don't know. It is absolutely clearly the correct thing to hold no opinions here. Wait, see, what comes out and try to get information. Patience is the move, and anybody who's trying to like come and like get a reaction out of you really quick does not have your best interests at heart. Okay. But that's the media landscape we live in. And I feel like I need to warn you about that because it's absolutely coming. It's just how we work. I will leave you as well with this. It's not insane to me to imagine, this is me just being speculative. Okay. It's not super crazy to imagine threatening gun enthusiast, I'm a little bit spooked. And it's not super crazy like that. That doesn't need to be a situation where anyone did anything wrong necessarily. If you feel scared and you report it, I don't think you're a bad person over that. I should also mention that the Vikings made it clear in correspondence to Derik Keys and to the rest of their staff that they made their mental health resources, which are pretty robust. We remember all those features about it from Everson Griffin's problems in 2018. That they made all of that available to Derik Keys and continue to make it available to him even after he is no longer with the organization. At least they claim to. And Derik Keys doesn't seem to corroborate that claim. So that might be another disputed thing, but something, again, to keep an eye on. But what I'll leave you with is mental health, especially mental health when it comes to men, is really stigmatized, especially when it involves anger. As soon as a guy with a mental health issue gets angry, we kind of just see that person as a danger to society forever, and there's not really a lot of recourse, and I don't think that that's necessarily the best thing. And it's probably a good idea to just look in the mirror and ask, hey, am I being fair about this? Am I approaching a situation with grace? Whether it's something in your personal life or something that you read about in the media or hear about on a Vikings podcast, probably a good idea to try to think that way. But that's enough about this. It's probably too early for me to even come and be talking about this anyways. It's just that I've learned about this now, and I thought that it should be, more people should be aware of it. So now you are. And now we are going to move on to the Everyman series covering Ambry Thomas. That'll be next on Locked On Vikings. Today's episode of Locked On Vikings is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to go ahead and lay a bet on the NBA or NHL finals or even NFL futures, you can do so at FanDuel.com. It's America's #1 sports book for a reason. And right now, if you put down $5 on anything, you can get $200 in bonus bets if that anything wins. Right now, you could even bet on week 1. Vikings-Bears. Vikings are 1.5-point underdogs on the road against the Chicago Bears. If you think that's ridiculous for one reason or another, go ahead and lay a buck on it. For whatever it's worth, it's at -120. That means people are hammering it. But also, betting in June on week 1 stuff is a little bit odd. Instead, you could look at win totals, such as the Vikings over under 8.5. If you think they're going to be over 500, go ahead and put $5 on it. If you're right, you get $200 in bonus bets or on some crazy favorited thing. Take a super conservative Chet Holmgren over or something like that. Whatever you want, find it at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It's June at a hospital in Michigan, and a college student is walking up and down the stairs outside the building. He can't run them yet. He's just walking them. But soon he will be able to run them. And then he'll be able to run on a football field and practice and play. And everyone told him that was impossible, but it's the Everyman series. You know what we think of impossible. That is the situation that Ambry Thomas found himself in during his time in Michigan. He grew up in the Detroit area. He went to Detroit King High School. And in his very first high school game, his sophomore year, he intercepted a pass and returned it 80 yards for a touchdown. And then the next game, he's also playing on offense. He gets a long touchdown in that game. At that point, the coaches there at Detroit King are like, oh yeah, we got a dude. It was not long before he started getting D1 interest from Michigan State, Michigan, and Florida, but a lot, the local schools. And he ends up deciding to go to the University of Michigan. It was there that one day in June, he woke up with really bad stomach pains. He goes to the doctor and they say, you have colitis. It's a chronic disease and You're going to have to spend a whole bunch of time recovering from this. Your body's basically never going to be right for the whole rest of the season. You're not going to play this year. Everybody sees this as like a given. It's one of those diagnoses that's like, it's like telling a guy who tears his Achilles, like, yeah, you're not playing this year. Like, it's a certain sure thing, but not to Ambry Thomas. Absolutely not. His mind goes, he is going to play. But for the first few weeks, he's bedridden. He is laying in bed for 3 weeks. He's depressed. And if we want to talk about mental health, doesn't this come up a lot? When a football player, the kind of football player with the talent, mentality, and longevity to make it to the pros so that we are even talking about them. Football is more than a hobby to most of these people. I won't say all. Every once in a while you get an Alan Page, Nikola Jokic, if you rather. Every once in a while you get somebody that kind of just like wants to horseback ride and like doesn't really care. But for the most part, these guys eat and breathe it. And it is central to their personalities. I am a football player. It is what I do. And if you take that away from them, very quickly their brains will seek. They'll either seek for ways to cope. They'll fail to find anything and fall into a deep depression. This happens a lot. This has happened to several other players in this very Everyman series, and in Everyman series from the world's past, like JJ McCarthy, or like what Justin Jefferson went through when he hurt his hamstring he was just out for 8 weeks. He came back later that year, but for those 8 weeks, really tough mentally. In his 4th and final week in the hospital, he started to feel a little better, and he went outside to just see if he could walk up and down the stairs, just to get a little bit of physical activity, get his blood pumping again, and see if that helps his mental. And it did. And every day, twice a day, he went up and down the stairs. And eventually he could go a little faster, maybe run up and down the stairs. If I know my calendars right, that puts us in July. We've still got a little bit of time before the start of the college football season, but he has lost 35 pounds doing this, and he's already a skinny corner. So he has to go back to 100%. He needs diet. He needs to lift. He needs to get his body back into real playing shape if he doesn't want to redshirt the season. And he definitely doesn't want to redshirt the season. The first game that year comes on August 31st. He weighs 190 pounds, or at least he claims to. I'm always a little bit reticent to trust college football program weight reporting. I mean, this is not, my source for this is MLive. It's not like Michigan themselves. So it's a little bit, but still, like, it's a corrupt world. But as he claims, he's a $190, and that's bigger than he was before he got sick. And he gets out there. Pretty much nobody thought that that was possible, but that's the level of dedication we're talking about, which makes what happens when he gets in the pros all the more jarring. But it just goes to show you how quickly in the NFL everything can slip away. We'll continue with that next on Locked On Vikings. '49ers will take Ambry Thomas in the 3rd round of the 2021 draft. So 2021 is his first year. And that season for the '49ers is a little bit up and down. It comes down to a Week 18 game in SoFi Stadium against the Rams. They need to win to get into the playoffs. They will end up, I think, the 6th seed. That was the year they beat down. They went to the NFC Championship and then played the Rams again in SoFi. But just to make the dance, they need to win that game. And what does it come down to but overtime? Did you all watch this game? Do you remember this game? It was kind of a Week 18 banger in the late window that week. So it's overtime. The 49ers go down and they kick a field goal. So it's the current overtime rules where the Rams get a chance now. And 2 minutes left in overtime. Matt Stafford uncorks one to Odell Beckham in single coverage on Ambry Thomas, our hero. And they're both tracking it, but I think Odell loses it in the lights because he runs right past it. Ambry Thomas makes a beautiful adjustment, comes down with it. 49ers win, 49ers go into the playoffs. It's the hero of hero moments, and this is a 3rd round rookie doing this. It's not unlike how I imagine 49ers fans felt kind of similar to when Duke Shelley broke up that one pass in the Bills game and then like had a couple other hero moments later in 2022, where we're like, oh my God, I didn't expect this from you, but what a hero moment. Maybe he's coming onto the scene. Maybe this can really be a guy. And there's even more reason to hope when you're a rookie, right? You're supposed to have blemishes now, not be, the guy making hero plays. This is awesome. That season will go on to the NFC Championship, as I mentioned, with the 49ers. They'll lose there. And coming back into 2022, things are a little different. It starts publicly, at least, our consciousness of it starts with Kyle Shanahan being asked about Ambry Thomas. And you get one of those quotes that's like, kind of, wait a minute, are we mad at this guy? Where it's one of those, like, he's got to, decide just how much he wants to be a part of things or whatever. And then he mentions, he's fighting for a spot on the depth chart. Like fighting for a spot on the roster in camp. And we're going, wait, this is the hero. What do you mean we're going to cut him? Apparently, it was night and day from 2021 to 2022. Something was just different with Ambry Thomas. It just wasn't the same guy. He didn't have the same tenacity. He reflects on this experience now, and he talks about just getting complacent. He kind of thought he had it made in the shade. He let hungrier guys get the better of him on that depth chart. And it didn't really hit him until, he did make the team, but he was at the bottom of that depth chart. And it didn't really hit him until Emmanuel Mosley tore his ACL in the middle of that season. And Ambry Thomas wasn't the one that was tagged to go in. It was Diamador Lenoir, who was a rookie 5th rounder, who was a second-year 5th rounder from the same draft. So drafted after him. We have a Caleb Evans, Andrew Booth situation. He goes in first, and then Jackrabbit Jenkins go first. Samuel Womack goes in before him. Samuel Womack was a rookie from that year, 5th round pick. So it's very abundantly clear that Ambry Thomas was the last person on the team that the 49ers wanted to put in at corner. And it doesn't really hit him until all those guys start going in past him. You're going, oh my God, I'm really leapfrogged here. What happened? And then he reflects and he says, maybe I got a little complacent. And he sort of learns the lesson from that. But boy, has this thing spiraled. Not a calendar year ago, we were the hero of the Bay Area. And now suddenly, I don't even know if I'm making the team next year. And I maybe got close this year to not making the team. It's a far cry from that guy willing his way impossibly through freaking colitis to get on the field at Michigan. But the thing about time is it only marches forward. It never stops and waits for you. And whatever you are feeling today, however your life is going today, there will come a time where you look back on it and it will be pretty well in the past and things will be different. It's just how it goes. 2023 goes a lot better for Ambry Thomas. He won't get his starting job back. Turns out Lenoir's a really good player. Travarius Ward's still there. But he'll get, it seems, second team cornerback honors. And he'll chill there. Pretty much non-impact player anymore, but he'll at least be part of the 49ers depth until things get a little bit harder still. In 2024, in a preseason game, he'll break his forearm. It will end his 2024 season. And in December of last year, he will be waived. So this forearm injury will end his time with the San Francisco 49ers. And maybe that's a good thing. There's a little bit of baggage there now, right? He'll get picked up on waivers by the Indianapolis Colts, but he will fail the physical, so they won't bring him in. And just a week later, Christmas Eve, in fact, the Vikings give him the call and say, we would like to sign you to the practice squad. He'll sign a futures contract, and now here he is. This guy is really tough to nail down in terms of what to expect from him. He was a starter maybe his rookie year, and then he wasn't as good, and then he's been hurt a couple times, so maybe that was part of it, but he also kind of got complacent, but maybe he's past that. Like, it's really tough to figure out what's going to happen with Ambry Thomas. But if it is the end, if he does, get cut, he's not on a lot of people's 53-man roster projections, so let's say that bears out. He's a cautionary tale. It does not matter what kind of superstar you are. Whether you are the dude of dudes from your high school, the dude of dudes from your D1 Blue Blood Michigan program, If you let your hair down for even a second, there are 600,000 young, hungry upstarts behind you that want it so much more than you. And the only real preventative measure you can take is to make sure that you still want it more than they do. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. And as always, Skull.